So I want to talk about what I think may be the greatest use case for for smart contracts in general, by the way. Currently, proof of weekends is the best example of that. But I want to talk about what may be the best use case for a smart contract. And the irony to this is this actually strikes at the root of cryptocurrency in general. Cryptocurrencies were originally created as a more secure, trustless, faster, easier way to nearly anonymously create online transactions in a digital capacity that could be done essentially cross-border anywhere in the world with an internet connection. And that was where Bitcoin essentially came from. Now, what smart contracts like proof of weekends allows is they allow you to do something unique. And that is they could potentially give the merchant the ability, someone would need to create this app or DApp or whatever. So this can be done. I mean, you could do it manually, but there's got to be an electronic way to be able to do this. But imagine if everything that you purchased it and you got a rebate over time. Think about that for a moment. What if everything that you purchased, you got a rebate over time? What if you bought something for $10, but over the next 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, a year, however long it took, you got your $60 back? How would that work? Well, first you need to understand how proof of weekends work. And if you don't, then let's just kind of give a quick recap here. Every trade, every buy, every sell of this cryptocurrency or this token incurs a 10% flat transaction fee. Instead of going to the exchange, or in this case, instead of going to some sort of merchant account like Visa or MasterCard, 10% of the volume in this cryptocurrency is set aside for you, the token holders, as Ethereum rewards that you can instantly withdraw whenever you'd like. So essentially what happens is when you own P3D tokens, you earn a percentage of all the volume created from every buy, every sell of the token anywhere in the ecosystem. So consider each token like a share. If you were looking at the stock market, it would be similar to like a share of a dividend paying stock. That share entitles you to a share of the dividends. Each token entitles you to a corresponding share of all of the transactions, all the volume created by the transactions. And again, that volume is 10% flat fee for every buy, every sell. You sell 100%, 100 tokens, 10 tokens goes to the P3D ecosystem. Now, so imagine if you could buy, now there is a potential flaw with this, and I'll discuss it in a moment. And well, there's potentially a lot of flaws. This is ahead of its time. But this smart contract space is fascinating. Imagine if you were to buy something for, say, roughly $100 worth of P3D tokens. And then what if there was a way for the merchant to take your payment and then pay you a rebate, basically, directly from the dividends? It would happen automatically with probably some sort of a smart contract created around this token. So essentially, you would pay $100 worth of P3D tokens, and over the lifetime of the P3D token contract, it's paid out somewhere around probably 0.3% a day. On average, 0.01% all the way up to 4, 5, 6, 7% on the best days. But if you averaged it out, it's about 0.3%, 0.4%, somewhere in there probably. I'm just guessing. So imagine, even if you earned 1.1% a day from your purchases until you eventually got your $100 back, it would be like getting a 100% rebate on everything you purchased. And now, the fundamental flaw that I see here is it's important to understand if you're new to cryptocurrency and you're not used to the business side, well, let me back up for a moment. You may not know this. Every time you use a debit card or a credit card, if you go to the gas station and you buy a drink, most of the time, the way it works is the business who accepts your credit card payment actually gets charged by the credit card companies. That's how Visa makes their money. They charge that gas station, say, 3% of the transaction. So for every dollar that you spend and you use your credit card, It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's convenient. So you use your credit card. But that merchant has to pay 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5%. Up to 5 cents probably on every dollar, depending on the card and the merchant agreement, the type of merchant account, whatever. On every dollar that is spent goes to the credit card companies. Now, that merchants have learned to deal with that, that 2, 3, 4%, even 5% in some cases. But when you start charging 10%, and now here's the other thing. When they accept cryptocurrencies, most businesses, because of tax implications, most businesses actually don't keep the cryptocurrency on hand. I know those of you that are crypto enthusiasts, you want to think that, if the local, if the local website or whatever website accepts cryptocurrency as payment, Overstock.com, for example, I think accepts Bitcoin. You want to believe that they keep those Bitcoin. And the reality is most don't, because there's major tax implications. For example, if you buy a product that costs $100 and you give them $100 worth of Bitcoin today, if they hold on to that Bitcoin and it goes down in value, then the government wants taxes paid on that $100 in value. So they don't care that the Bitcoin went down in value. They pay taxes on the USD, or in this case, the US dollar. So therefore, a lot of merchants will, even if they accept Bitcoin, their merchant provider or however they're accepting those cryptocurrencies, typically automatically convert it to dollars for them. And so when you see a merchant accepting Bitcoin, you just know that they're a supporter of this space, because it does add a little bit more headache to their business currently. So the downfall to that is most merchants would not, in the smart contract space, P3D for example, most merchants would not want to do obviously a huge amount of transactions in this way. And they would not want to just hold on to these P3D tokens indefinitely currently. But I could see a time where you could pay for something using a token, a smart contract token like Proof of Weekends, and I could see a time when that would work. The other current issue is I think the 10% fee, I think it's probably too high, especially if they're going to take it, and especially if they exchanged it right away. That would be a 20% hit. So the only advantage would be those people who are willing to hold the tokens. So this is way ahead of its time, way ahead of its time. But I believe it's possible, and here's the great thing about this. That creates if unfortunately Proof of Weekends isn't this low, but if it was a 2 or 3% fee. Now, a lot of people in the smart contract space, there's this greed thing. I want to make more money. We want to make more dividends. So they think the answer to making more dividends is, charging a higher fee on the way in and on the higher fee on the way out. I disagree with that. I think the answer to more dividends is this. I think the answer to more dividends is creating a lot more of this. Let's go here. Instead of this and then going back up, I think the answer to more dividends is just going up and down constantly. And the way it would go up and down constantly is, imagine if, the businesses and restaurants in your town were all accepting something like P3D. Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, convert, whatever. Some of them would buy and hold, especially if they were doing the rebate model. But the buy sell would create tremendous amount of volume over and over again, and potentially still keep the price stable, because they wouldn't be buying and selling the token just for stability. Now here's what else would happen. If people just spend the tokens, if a merchant was able to hold on to the tokens and rebate dividends until the initial price was paid back. Now, I've already considered doing this with a small business that I have manually, meaning I would, take a few transactions in payment for P3D, and then I would refund back the dividends, and I would have to do it in a separate wallet, and it would be kind of an issue to manage. But I've considered doing it just to test it out and just to test out the use case. I don't know if I actually will. I got to think about it some more. Mainly because you got to teach people to buy P3D tokens, and you got to educate some people on cryptocurrency. But think about it. Think about being able to make a purchase. What if you bought a car, you purchased it in P3D tokens, and then over the next several months or years, you were consistently getting a rebate back until the price of the car was ultimately paid for. Now, the advantage to the business owner, the reason I thought about doing it personally is because once the rebate is paid back, depending on how much volatility happens, is going to determine how fast it's paid back. But once it's actually paid back, now I've still got those tokens earning dividends indefinitely. So that is a very interesting concept. What if there was a way that everything you purchased, you were able to get rebates back? And maybe the answer to the 10% is, since you're getting rebated back, maybe that's the option. You're willing to pay 10% more, so it's not such a big hit to the business owner, in order to get back a rebate over time. Of course, you couldn't guarantee how fast they'd get it back, but it would be based off of volatility. I don't know if anyone's thought about that, but to me, excuse the pun, that's taking cryptocurrency transactional use case to a third dimension, a 3D level. Like that would be incredible. I mean, imagine, what if you could buy a house with P3D tokens one day? And now it would be easy if there was a contract set up to do this, but what if you could buy a house with P3D tokens and then get rebated back? Again, I get it. There's a lot of issues with that today. Part of the issue is, again, most merchants need the cash flow. There's taxable issues to be concerned with and everything else. But let's just, think about that. Let's play coy for a minute. What if, this whole space is all about what if mass adoption. So you imagine getting to that place. If there's anyone in the smart contract space that could create a contract that an individual could deploy, and it would automatically reimburse the dividends up to, a certain amount, that would be fascinating. And if it was a contract that would do it, I would have to, check the contract out and have someone else check the contract out, and I would have to feel confident in it. But I might would actually do that. At least on some of my higher ticket purchases, I would actually test something out like that. I think that would be just be extremely, extremely interesting. And the reality is, you almost wouldn't even have to give back 100%. You could give back 50% or 30%. You could set the rebate however you set the contract. But it's very interesting to think that you would then end up with, you'd pay back the dividends, or a portion of the dividends. Maybe half the dividends go towards the rebate, the other half stay in the contract, however you want to do it. Give me your thoughts. I don't know if anyone's thought about this. If they have, I haven't heard it verbalized. What do you think about that potential use case? Put your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to respond. I'd love to hear feedback in this space. I'd love to, there's so much brilliance in the cryptocurrency space. Some of the things that people are thinking of, even the devs that created Proof of Weekends, it's such a brilliant concept, but in a way, it's simple at its very core, and it's fascinating that no one else has even thought about this. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day.